Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Thank you. I'm sitting here with Myq Kaplan. You pronounce your name Mike?
I do.
M-Y-Q. What's the origin of that?
I was a weird kid. Prince changed his name to a symbol, and I was like, that guy did a thing, I'll do a thing.
What age you do that?
14, 15.
You really, at that age?
Yeah, I went to this artsy summer camp, and I was like, I'll be different too. And
Now,
then
did you legally do that?
No, I mean nothing. I'm on the lam. No, don't tell anybody about it.
Like I said, this is an illegal thing. So, is it a symbol for something, or what is it for?
I mean, it's basically just a different spelling of Mike.
Just a different spelling.
I was like, I'll stick with the alphabet, Prince.
Okay,
you know,
MYQ.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, you do a podcast called Hang Out With Me.
I do.
Recently did a show on mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, I normally have a 45-minute episode where I have a couple guests on, usually comedian friends.
Right.
And then we usually do a 45-minute and then a bonus 10-minute episode where we just sort of recap everything that we did, so people can, oh, maybe I don't even know these people. I'll listen to it for 10 minutes. Yeah. So we did one where at the beginning all three of us took mushrooms, and then we talked for 45 minutes, and then instead of the 10-minute bonus, we did a 2-hour bonus. So just kept going.
So now, when's the first time you tried mushrooms?
I was like 24, 25, I think. I didn't do pot and didn't have anything until I was like 23, 24.
Okay.
I was like, my parents were very like typical, like sort of Jewish, you know, sheltering, like don't smoke, don't drink, don't do drugs.
But you went to an artsy camp, so in the sense that they were kind of progressive that way a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't supposed to, there were definitely kids there who did all kinds of things, but I was good. I was a good kid. Like, right. I understood eventually when I got to college, I was like, oh, nothing is... Yeah, if you just do things in moderation, everything's okay.
Yeah, the moderation is the key.
Yeah, so I was afraid enough that, I mean, I eventually I met the woman that I was going to marry, who I then eventually was the woman that I would divorce. But before that, when we liked each other, which we still do, she's great. Right. She was like, I like marijuana, you should try it. And I was like, but why should I do that? I'm fine with life, you know? She's like, come on, you pussy. I don't know.
Women.
If that's
women.
Exactly, so.
Adam and Eve, it goes back to that.
Exactly, yeah, it was just like that apple. Like, turned an apple into a bong, and then there we go.
You tried weed. Now, are you in love with weed?
No, I don't like it at all, really. I mean, it generally puts me to sleep. Like, I've had, like, I'd say 10% positive weed experiences.
Right.
But
I don't love weed either. I was never a big weed guy.
No, it's just sort of, it makes me, I feel like it impairs me more than, and like mushrooms, I honestly, like when I got into that, I was like, it sort of like repairs me, you know, like, I feel like that. I don't know if have you done those?
Yes, I've eaten mushrooms.
Like, you know, like good, when it's good, I mean, I've had some bad ones, but.
I've had a couple of bad ones. I've had a couple of really excellent ones. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're like, oh, we're all connected. It's all, there's a lot of understanding and philosophical sort of enlightenment feelings, you know? And the worst ones were only just when I hadn't eaten, or I did double the dose that I should have. You know, I made some mistakes.
Well, one of the last times I took mushrooms was 1992. August of 1992. Elton John and Eric Clapton were doing a concert at Shea Stadium, and me and my buddies went. And me and my friend bought mushrooms off this guy in the parking lot who looked like he went to Woodstock. On the way back from Woodstock, got a flat. It took him 23 years to change the flat, and he had just gotten to Shea Stadium. That's what he looked like. So we bought these shrooms from this guy, and I think Elton John opened and Clapton closed. And by the time Clapton came on, we took them right as Elton John was going on. By the time Clapton's set started, we were in the upper deck at the old Shea Stadium, and I was like, I was like going up and down the step. My buddy Danny was telling me, dude, you were walking up and down the steps like flapping your arms like they were wings, and you said you could fly, and you were I was on the very last row, and I had my head down, like looking down at the. I don't think I would have jumped if there was something in front of me, but I looked, there was just rainbows, and it was just really wonderful. Like, I felt like great, and it was Clapton in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Layla was playing, and live. It was just great.
I did once at the 4th of July up in Boston. Like, they have 100,000 people out on the Esplanade by the river.
Right.
And, like, I'm just lying under a tree as they're kicking in, like, looking up at a tree. I would look at trees a lot when I'm, and you're like, wow, they're moved. It's just the wind, but, you know, it's nothing really.
Aren't you freaked out to do them in public like that, though? With cops around? And...
I think that unless you tell people, like, people can't really tell that you're on mushrooms, you know?
Yeah,
it's only like...
some people can tell you're on something, though.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but cops don't know me, you know? They're not like, hey, you're behaving a little different than the normal time that we hang out.
So you've never gotten really out of control to the point where you were afraid you might get arrested?
The one time the worst time was I was walking through Boston just during the day alone. I think
Did you go to school up in Boston?
I did. I went to Brandeis and then Boston University as well.
Yeah.
And so I was just walking through. I took them, went out for the day, probably didn't eat at all. You know, just like, I'll have them hit me as hard as possible.
Yeah.
Had a great time for a couple hours, then got to the corner of like Commonwealth and Gloucester, and I remember it specifically because I had to call a friend eventually to be like, come and get me.
I'm at the corner of Commonwealth and Gloucester.
Originally, I thought it was at the corner of a one-way and do not enter. Like, he was like, look at other signs. But I just sort of stood there on the street for probably only like 10 minutes, but it felt like hours because I felt like I was like, am I crazy? Am I dying? Am I old? Am I senile?
Did you get paranoid?
I definitely, there were people walking by me with like dog. I'm like, everybody's got a dog. Is it representative of, you know, somebody searching for me? Is somebody looking for me?
Now, what about that, using it psychologically? Okay, did you ever get into it psychologically and sort of? Well, first of all, did it ever help you creatively? Let me ask you that.
Oh, I mean, every time I do it now, like I'll either be hanging out with friends, I'll have my digital recorder, and just, you know, if I say something or one of a, you know, I'll definitely put like, you know, 70 ideas down into this thing, and then later I'll listen to them and I'll be like, 4 of these are good, you know.
For stand-up.
Oh yeah, totally. And for like sort of life philosophies, be like, oh, this is the way to.
Now, can you remember a life philosophy that you figured out on mushrooms?
I mean, part of it is, you know, sometimes it's just even the nature of doing it, where I'm like, you know, living in the moment compared to like, you know, stand-up is all about, oh, remember this later to tell people, as opposed to just experience this now, like be in this moment now.
Stand-up does do that to you. It takes away all your experience because everything you think of, you go, can I use that for stand-up? Because you're like, I got to write this down, remember, could I make this funny somehow later? Yeah,
so it definitely focuses me and hones me into being in the moment, because I know that not everything is going to be, you know, perfect for later, but it gives me this confidence and this, you know, sort of just just a great experience of like, I'm like, this is great now, and like, you know, I'll jot things down or, you know, come up with ideas and be like, maybe later, who can? And like, I like to go on stage that night, you know, do it during the day, come down, it's still sort of like buzzy and sparkly, and be like, hey everybody, here's the experience that I just had. You know,
it's a good idea. Did you ever do stand up on mushrooms?
I've done stand up like on like a ton of pot once. There's like a show in New York where they just have a vaporizer backstage and and that's the whole point of the show. But yeah, I've only done them like as coming down, where I think people would be like, you're a little different than normal, but I wasn't complete like peaking or anything.
The worst thing I ever did was stand up on cocaine, and I did it quite often for a while.
Sure.
Like really often. And that was the craziest thing ever, because I used to have video cassettes. I wish I still had them, because I would put them up on YouTube or something. It's fascinating. I did some sketches when I was on Mad TV on coke, and I could still see them. It's funny, I can still see. I look back, it's 15 years ago now, and I'm on blow there. I remember doing coke right before I went on to do the sketch, and you could tell a little bit. But again, if you don't know me, you might not know. But some of the stand-up bits, man, on blow, it's just I do 20 minutes in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah,
and you talk right over the laughs, and then all of a sudden you're out of time, and you realize you're out of time. You start doing crowd work. Where you from? Where you from? You gotta kill 18 minutes, and it's not like a friendly where you're from. It's a hostile where you're from. Where you from? I don't know. Connecticut. Why? Why from Connecticut?
Why?
Like, why? I don't know. That's where my parents settled. You probably got a problem with me. And it's very aggressive. And,
oh yeah, I've never done coke. I feel like I don't like caffeine that much.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do that much for me.
It's the worst drug of all time. It's the worst. I don't know why it became popular. My generation, just a bunch of bozos. It's like it takes every bad part of you and just amplifies it.
But you don't know that's happening in the moment. That you're having a great time.
You think everything's fascinating. You're saying you think, and people on show business on coke, everything is a new idea and this. The worst thing is to be not on coke in a room with somebody on coke, and you want to throw them out the window.
I remember. I mean, I watched the movie. You know, when stand-up stood out about the the Boston.
Yeah,
where I started out there, so I know a bunch of those guys, and they were like, we would just do comedy, and then they'd pay us in coke, and so we'd do the coke all night.
But that scene in Boston was blow-ridden. It was like, forget about it.
Yeah, so when I started, I think they ran out. They did it all.
They literally ran out of coke.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogerson and Lenny Clark had done all the coke.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's why everybody starts in Boston and then leaves eventually, because they're like, we can't break through this coke window.
There's always a new shipment in L.A.
Yeah.
We can always get it. Now, did you ever take mushrooms and then talk to a psychiatrist? Did you ever talk to a shrink about what you experienced on mushrooms and get into it psychologically? You just said the thing with everyone walking a dog. Does that symbolize realize something?
Oh yeah, you know, I've never certainly, I don't know if you meant, I've never gone to a therapy session on mushrooms, but
Right.
I think I have talked to them
Talk
about
about
it.
what, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I never thought of it as, it was really never a problem, so I never addressed it like that. I
Right.
mean, most of the things I talked about in therapy were just like, should I keep being with this person? Should I have children? Should I want children? Like, should I, like, everybody seems to be having, you know, that's another symbolic thing. Like, I just broke up with a girl because she wants kids soon and I do not.
Yeah, a lot of other therapy, like, and I've tried, a lot of it ends up being about relationships. You start talking about, like, you know, how you relate to other people and even friendships and stuff like that. But I always wondered, because, like, there's been times when I've been on, when I took mushrooms where that one thing that freaked me out once is I did feel like I was kind of eating my fingers once. And it was so, God, it was so crazy and scary.
But you weren't actually.
No. I mean, listen, with my appetite, I might have been.
I actually
wake up with just no fingers.
I actually worry about that because I do bite. I've bitten my fingernails my whole life, and now I only do it when I'm exhausted or in my sleep. Like I just don't have any control. You get into that sort of, like, you know, you're watching TV and you know you're dozing off. You should just go to sleep, and you're just like, I'll be like ripping my nails and my fingers, and like I was on the road for the past week, like getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning to catch planes and drive long distances, and I did like shred my fingers. They still hurt.
Yeah, I'm thank God I never actually ate my fingers. I would have done a number on them.
Yeah, like at least the things that you're addicted to, you can't get out of the room. You can not go to a bar. Like I'm at finger bar all day.